Newtown, Limbe hosts the bishops this Thursday, January 9, 2025, as they enter the 6th of the 48th annual seminar taking place here in Boya Diocese. University of Boya commences a 3-day convocation ceremony for different establishments of the institution with assurance of quality formation. And on a sad note, the 39th President of the United States of America is laid to rest this day in his hometown in attendance of many who came to pay their last respect. Good evening and thanks for joining us this evening on Divine Mercy Premiere over the Divine Mercy Radio Television. These stories and more will be read out to you in a moment. You are welcome back. Christian, civil society and political leaders of Limbe municipality joined the bishops of Cameroon for a mass this January 9, 2025 at Holy Family Parish, Newtown, Limbe. The bishops were warmly received by the Christian population of Limbe and Bota Denaries as they beautifully led the people of God in the mass. The church house was filled to capacity with Christians of both denaries who were dressed in both the 75th anniversary fabric and the apostolic group uniforms. The city mayor of Limbe municipality, Paul Ngale Fome, welcomed the bishops and acknowledged their contributions to the peace and stability the region is enjoying. Archbishop Nkia, president of the National Episcopal Conference, welcomed the bishops in two capacities, as president of the conference and as a son of the parish. The bishops later on visited the Botanic Garden Limbe, where they were educated on some plants. During the Mass, His Grace Faustin Ambassa, Archbishop of Garoua, called on the people to live in peace and unity. Let's have an excerpt of his homily.
New year filled with the blessings of the Lord. But after these wishes, good wishes, there is another step. Another step is to help people around me, to help them to make step forward in achieving their goals, in achieving their journey to be strong human beings, to acquire what they desire for the human life, but also for their spiritual life. That is solidarity. That is helping one another. That is important. What can I do for you? How can I help you? That is part of life. Where is love? It's part of love. And I think the Christian teachings are also helping us. This year, we are within this holy year, the Jubilee of Hope. And I think that it is true that hope for us believers is rocked, is founded on our faith in God. God, that is the God that can do everything. Nothing is impossible for God. When He loves us, He make everything good for us. That is the foundation of our hope. But also, living together and loving one another as Christ is asking us, I think is also a help to strengthen hope in our heart.
And we promise to bring to you more of the bishop's activities today during our subsequent newscast. On to other news, the Holy Father Pope Francis has urged diplomats to adopt a policy of diplomacy of hope during his annual address to members of the diplomatic corps attached to the Vatican. The Pope, during his address, emphasized the need to overcome the logic of confrontation and instead embrace the logic of peace and be future states. Franklin, a former seminarian on pastoral here at the Divine Mercy Radio Television, report.
Francis met with the diplomatic corps accredited to the Holy See this January 9, 2025 and proposed a diplomacy of hope based on truth, forgiveness, freedom and justice. He emphasized the importance of rediscovering what is truly essential during the Jubilee year, which calls for a renewed focus on the core values of humanity. The Pope expressed gratitude to the Italian authorities for their efforts in preparing Rome for the millions of pilgrims expected to visit in 2025. However, he also acknowledged the numerous conflicts, acts of terror, and societal tensions plaguing the world, urging nations to adopt a logic of encounter rather than a logic of confrontation.
Hope for this new year is that the Jubilee may represent for everyone, Christians and non-Christians alike, an opportunity also to rethink the relationships that bind us to one another as human beings and political communities, but also to overcome the logic of confrontation and embrace instead the logic of encounter, so that the future does not find us hopelessly adrift, but pressing forward as pilgrims of hope, individuals and communities on the move, committed to building a future of peace.
Pope Francis outlined his vision for a diplomacy of hope, which involves a diplomacy of truth, a diplomacy of forgiveness, a diplomacy of freedom, and a diplomacy of justice. The Pope condemned the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine, Gaza, Myanmar, Sudan, and other regions, emphasizing the need for peace and an end to war. He also expressed concerns about growing anti-Semitism and persecutions against Christian communities. In conclusion, Pope Francis urged nations to take care of the victims of human trafficking and migrants, address the root causes of displacement, and work towards a more just and peaceful world.
The University of Buea today begins its convocation ceremony, with the institution today sending forth students from 5 establishments. Hilarion Tukov attended today's graduation ceremony and put together this report.
The University of Buea commenced its 26th convocation ceremony this Thursday, January 9, 2025. The event brought together 5 different establishments of the institution, namely the Advanced School of Translators and Interpreters, the College of Technology, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, the Faculty of Laws and Political Science, and the Faculty of Science. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ngomo Horace Manga's message is timely, assuring the students of the quality of education they have received.
We are telling them that the new policy orientation is that of graduates, not just being seekers of employment, but while creators of employment. Before it used to be implicit, but now it's explicit, because there's this policy support that says that our graduates today should be imbued with the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, and that's why the Assembly has proceeded to add 3 new courses.
Ason Clovet Akala of the Department of Biochemistry is the best graduating students of the 26th convocation ceremony.
I will be remiss not to express my deepest gratitude to the dedicated academic staff of the University of Buea, to our professors, lecturers, advisors, and mentors. You have been beacons of knowledge, guidance, inspiration throughout our time here.
Under the distinguished patronage
We are sorry for that mix-up in that report. Still in education, parents and students of the Government Technical High School GTHS in Moliko are still reacting to the new dressing attire, with the girls putting on skirts right below the knee level. To some parents, it is timely as it will breed decency amongst the students. Nadesh May paid a visit to the campus yesterday and puts together this report.
It is a hot afternoon here in Molikoboya, where the students of Government Technical High School Molikoboya, with acronym GTHS, are retiring home for the day after a long 7-hour day of studies. This academic year, the girls at Government Technical High School have embraced a new look, wearing ankle-length skirt as part of their uniform. For some students, the skirt are a welcome change, providing a sense of comfort and relaxation, while for others, it is a bit of an adjustment as it is their first time wearing them.
Very comfortable, but the thing is that it's kept the under, the way they sew it, it's tightened under, and the skirt even made me to fall to the sew. I might go back and ask the tailor to reduce it to like open the under because it's tightened a bit. So I feel comfortable inside the skirt. The skirt is really nice.
At first, the first told us that we should wear behind our knee level. Now they say we should change and put it ankle level. We don't understand. When you walk, you can able to walk well, and it can make you can fall down with a long skirt.
The streets of Molikoboya are now filled with this fresh new attire, catching the eyes of everyone who sees it. According to some parents, they believe that the long skirts will help reduce indecency on campus, offering a more modest and respectful appearance for their girl children.
In your uniform, with their own insistence for the picking them, particularly the girls, I overlike them. First, me as a parent. Because that short skirt when you wear them, the first it be very indecent. So it did look picking, they did look very, they look very exemplary, but the new one now, so even you look picking them, so you see they did be very presentable and they look mature inside the long skirt with the long.
For me, my picking the candy school, I like me the school skirt. Because the picking the rest of kind of skirt away. Even a youth teacher, some more go so short skirt, who broken with it. So the way the teacher hope to make a good for me, I think are the best. Or they go wear long skirt, so the school skirt they fine. Even the boys and too, they go to wear and have big foot trousers. That's why they go so slim. With the house clothes, now school skirt is to go well. Any picking complain, therefore the picking not say go after.
As the girls sport their ankle-length skirt, the boys are seen in big trousers, which have also become the new standard attire for all the students at Government Technical High School Molikoboya. This uniform change aims to tackle the issue of indecency within the institution and beyond, promoting a more disciplined and respectful environment for both students and the community.
On to the report, Climate Change Observatory has warned for an increased risk in meningitis as the dry season intensifies. However, the dry season is not the only factor to be worried about when it comes to meningitis. In the following report, a medical doctor explains to us that meningitis is an infectious bacterial disease that affects a specific group of persons, with cigarette smokers, children and the elderly on the top list. Sama Allen with the details.
As the dry season gets intense, the risk of an increase in meningitis becomes a public health concern in Cameroon. The disease is an infectious one affecting tissues in the body with distinct symptoms.
Meningitis is an inflammation of the tissues that surround the brain and the spinal cord, and these are organs that control the entire body. Now, meningitis is that infection. When it affects those tissues, it makes them for your body now become less resistant, and there are a lot of. It's an emergency. When you have meningitis, it's an emergency that needs an urgent attention. If not, the body is going to shut down. And now, apart from that, there are also symptoms that when you see, you can start suspecting that there is meningitis. Now, what are some of those symptoms? You have the first symptom, which mostly surface, is neck stiffness. You have a stiff neck, you may not be able to turn your neck. Secondly, you have some kind of very intense headache. Sometimes it comes with projectile vomiting that seems like it's projectile, and you also have nausea. Sometimes you may have altered consciousness. You may even find yourself in coma.
Dr. Esono Sani highlights that in Cameroon, bacteria is the main cause of the disease.
And in our setting in Cameroon, Meningitis, the most common cause of meningitis is bacteria. But elsewhere, like in good countries in the US, we have viruses which are the main cause.
Risk factors connected to meningitis include:
first is age. As I earlier mentioned, we have the 3 age groups which are mostly affected with meningitis. We have the infants less than 1 year, we have adults and adolescents and young people. Those are between 16 and 25, and have the aged people who are 65 and above. And secondly, we have immunocompromised people who are affected with HIV infection. Because once you are affected with HIV, it decreases your immunity. The soldiers of your body are being reduced, so you can't fight infection. So you're prone to having meningitis. Next, we have passive and active smokers. These are people who smoke. There are some people who think that it's only when you smoke before you can be exposed to this thing. When you are a passive smoker, you're beside someone who smokes, you're also at risk of having meningitis. Now we also look at location. In our country, the 3 northern regions are the most affected with meningitis. The next thing is we also look at there are people whose spleen have been removed, a case we call asplenia. Now, people whose spleen have been removed, and because the spleen is a very important organ that helps to fight infections. Now, when it's been removed, you are going to face problems with fighting infection, so you're at risk of. And we also look at humidity. This is very important because we are in January, which is the dry season. Now, seasons also affect people, and it also brings about meningitis. Now, for example, in areas where the dry season is predominant, or you have wet and dry seasons which are so distinct, those are areas that are mostly affected with meningitis. Now, especially as we mentioned the northern regions, because those places, they face extreme dry season and droughts, so they are mostly affected with meningitis.
Like any other disease, meningitis can be prevented as well as treated.
Since we know that it's a disease it's an infection that can be controlled, the first thing is vaccination. Now, this is why in the expanded program of immunization, as from birth, there are vaccines for meningitis. This is to give you a coverage while you're growing up, so that you should not be affected or infected. For those who are close to people who are already affected with a species of meningitis called the meningococcal meningitis, those people are placed on antibiotic prophylaxis to prevent the spread of or the exchange of meningitis. So those are the key points for meningitis. And one last thing which is very important in prevention is proper hygiene.
Note here that Climate Change Observatory on January 8, 2025 warns of increased meningitis risk in the country as the dry season intensifies. A call for all to be cautious and prevent against the disease.
And on today's sad note, the former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who died last December 2024, has been laid to rest today in his hometown, Georgia. Jamilatu Tongtang with more on this.
Daily, at least one patient visits a health center complaining of a seasonal disease. This disease is mostly caused by dry air, temperature fluctuations, water scarcity.
Has been buried alongside his wife Rosalyn this day, January 9th, 2025, at their home in Georgia. Born on October 1st, 1924, the late President Jimmy was an American politician and humanitarian who served as the 39th President of the United States from the year 1977 to 1981. A member of the Democratic Party, he served as the 76th Governor of Georgia from 1971 to 1975 and in the Georgia State Senate from 1963 to 1967. He was the longest short-lived president in the history of the United States, as he lived up to the age of 100. Died on December 29, 2024, leaving behind 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren. This day, many gather in honor of the late President Jimmy as he journeys to his final rest in his hometown in Georgia.
May his soul rest in peace. And onto our foreign page, Chad authorities have assured the international community and citizens of the country that the attack that took place near the presidential palace has been brought under control. Equally, a summit is taking place in Egypt with focus on curbing the escalating violence in the Middle East. This and more on our foreign page. In a violent confrontation in Chad, at least 19 people have died after security forces intervened to stop armed fighters from attacking the presidential complex in N'Djamena. The government reported that 18 of the 24 attackers were killed during the failed raid at the president's office on Wednesday evening, with one security official also losing his life in the battle. The country's foreign minister reassured the public that soldiers were protecting the president and that the situation was under control. Residents in N'Djamena reported hearing multiple gunshots for several minutes near the presidential compound. Shortly after the incident, Koulamallah appeared in a video flanked by soldiers with a firearm at his side, asserting the situation is entirely under control. The attempt to destabilize has been thwarted. This assault coincided with the official visit from the China's foreign minister Wang Yi to Chad. Just hours before the violence erupted, Wang Yi had engaged with Chad's President Mahamat Idris Deby and other high-ranking officials. Koulamallah confirmed that Deby was in the presidential complex during the attack. In Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu province, a significant citizen march took place on Wednesday, orchestrated by civil society organization Forces Vives. Thousands of locals took to the streets to express their concerns about the troubling advance of the M23 rebels moving into South Kivu through the border town of Minova. Maitre Nene Bintu, the leader of the civil society South Kivu, expressed great concerns against
the Congolese are being killed like flies, with millions of internally displaced people accompanied by numerous humanitarian crises and their consequences. The Kigali regime has clearly turned its back on the Luanda process, boycotting the meeting on December 15, 2024, which you attended alone.
Brandishing placards and chanting slogans, demonstrators also condemned the unlawful extraction of minerals, a persistent problem in the area. South Kivu, abundant in natural resources, has suffered for years from organized plundering by Chinese capital firms which support both local and global networks. In the midst of ongoing tensions in eastern DRC, this protest highlights the determination of South Kivu population to take a stand against insecurity and the unlawful exploitation of their resources. The spotlight is now on the authorities, urging them to deliver tangible solutions to these pressing challenges that threatens the region's peace and development. Leaders from Egypt, Cyprus and Greece is convened in Cairo on Wednesday to address escalating tensions in the Middle East, including conflicts in Gaza, Israel and Lebanon, the border instability in Syria, Libya, Yemen and Sudan. The summit highlighted the urgent need for regional cooperation to confront growing challenges to security, migration and economic stability. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah emphasized the importance of intensifying efforts to prevent conflicts from escalating into a full-scale war, warning of catastrophic consequences including mass displacement and illegal migration. Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiades echoed these concerns, noting that the region faces unprecedented instability, requiring solidarity and coordinated action to restore security. That's what we could gather for you this evening. But before we go, a reminder of our lead stories once more. The historic Holy Family in Newtown, Limbe hosts the bishops this Thursday, January 9, 2025, as they enter day 6 of the 48th annual seminar taking place here in the Diocese of Boya. University of Buea commences a 3-day convocation ceremony for different establishments of the institution with assurance of quality formation. And on a sad note, the 39th President of the United States of America is laid to rest this day in his hometown, Georgia. Thanks so very much for watching, and do have a wonderful evening in the company of beautiful programs here over the Divine Mercy Radio Television.